Welcome, everyone. You are about to embark on a journey through the universe as you indulge in this extraordinary essence of enlightened, empowered, evolved. Let the show begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just in time. Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, where we educate you, liberate, and motivate you with enlightening dialogues, empowering music, and evolving content. I know everyone's doing well and everything is unfolding perfectly. I'm excited yet again because my next guest, extraordinary guest, I might add, is a TEDx speaker and a life stylist who helps individuals and organizations banish burnout and succeed with style. After surviving a near fatal burnout crisis that shattered her health, marriage, and career, she made it her mission to disrupt the burnout epidemic and help purpose driven professionals reclaim their purpose, power, and presence, and a whole lot more. But without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Kimberly Parry. How are you doing today, Kimberly Parry?
I am doing fantastic and even better. Thank you for having me here. I love your energy and what you're bringing in your content. So I feel privileged to be here.
Thank you. And allow me to reciprocate that by saying, first of all, thank you. And I'm going to say thank you again, and you'll see. I'm a firm believer that time is one of our most precious assets. And for you to choose to spend even a moment of your time here with me on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here at this present moment.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Let's get into it. Could you start out by sharing with us, elaborating a bit on surviving a near fatal burnout crisis? Give us a little feedback, a little intel on that,
Yeah.
what occurred.
Yep, it is my story. And so
Okay.
I actually have had social workers and lawyers and doctors all tell me that any one part of my story is something they've never seen before.
Right.
And I just go big or go home. And I did the full whammy. But when it comes to burnout, I had done what a lot of people experiencing burnout do, especially go-getters, right? We know how to set goals, we know how to achieve. On paper, I had everything that I had been told would lead to success. I had the degrees, I had a career, I had the spouse, the house, and the kids. And I had gotten to a point where things in my marriage were getting rough. And a lot of people hit that point,
Right.
right? That
Yes.
midlife crisis, people call it, but that midlife point, I call it the slump. It starts in a slump, really.
Right.
And we were trying to work through things, trying to figure things out. And I had reached a point in my career where I loved my job. I loved what I was doing,
Okay.
but you climb the ladders and eventually it gets to the point where there's not really anywhere else to climb.
Right.
But yet you've built this career, you have all of the education and experience in that career. And so I knew I loved it and yet was kind of feeling a slump there.
Mm.
And it just kind of was hitting everywhere. But I thought, oh, everyone gets here, no big deal, ignore it until 2 months after my son was born. Right around that time, there were some disclosures in my marriage that let me know that everything was not okay and it was not normal and what
Mm.
everyone was experiencing.
Wow.
And I was on the phone with a friend getting all excited. My son was 2 months old. I had just worked out that morning and I was on the phone with her and the right side of my body went numb. I had words in my head and they wouldn't come out of my mouth. And I
Wow.
knew something was off. And
Mm.
if words aren't coming out of my mouth, my friend knew something was off.
Right. Right.
And so they
Yes.
thought it was a stroke, rushed me to the hospital. And that began a series of tests and diagnoses with doctors saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything's
Mm.
fine. The tests are all normal. And yet I couldn't sit or stand normally. I had to get
Wow.
rides. I couldn't drive. I couldn't hold my son. Uh, and in the middle of all that, got divorced and could no longer move in my career. So I was a soon to be divorced single mom laying on a bed in my living room watching other people take care of my kids and trying to figure out how I was going to rebuild a career and rebuild my life
Mm.
when everything that I had
Wow.
known, everything I had defined myself by was gone in a period of a year.
Wow.
So I go big or go home. That was my burnout experience. And I
Mm.
know people don't have to get to that point. So I
No,
like to hit
that's
people in the slump rather than the what I lovingly call my midlife burnout crisis.
yes. Might I add to that is that no, that is not. I I wouldn't say I've heard quite that rendition of a burnout, but I do understand. Like it doesn't shock me because burnout or anything that's just overwhelming and exhausting, it's mental.
Mhm.
I'm not only physical but mental. And yeah, your mind controls, your body and everything. So yes, you don't know what can happen if you get to that period of severe burnout. And
Yeah.
you happen to have a pretty severe case of burnout, but your mind was telling your body, you know, scale back. And
Yep.
it gave
And
you,
it starts small. I love Oprah Winfrey is the one who said it. She said the universe will speak to you in a whisper. And if you
right?
don't listen to that, it'll shout. And if you don't listen to that, it'll hit you with a brick upside the head.
Yes. You know what?
Right.
I
And
can,
I've experienced that.
yes, I can connect that with so many experiences that I refused, and I'll just say it straight out, refused to learn, you know, and it will turn into this brick upside your head when you don't learn. And that's in my perspective, how life is. Those things will keep coming up and repeating until you do learn and learn different ways of dealing and looking in different perspectives. And yes, so that is amazing. And thank you for sharing that with us. That's amazing. So how did you come out of that burnout? I mean, I know you said you were pondering what way, but can you share with us a few things that helped you get out? I mean, did you just a lot of sleep, rest, and just got out? Or I mean, what
Well, yeah,
happened?
and the career that I had, and the reason it didn't translate easily into corporate consulting, I actually spent 16 years as a religious educator. So my passion was studying religion,
Mm.
philosophy, theology. And when you can't move and can't go anywhere and have a lot of time in doctor's appointments, I mean, I was deep diving into all of that. And so I was forced rest,
Mm.
right? I couldn't
Yes.
move. And so it like really life made me slow down and really dove into reconnecting with myself and examining that. But what I did find is that my history in religious ed and listening to people on a couch, right? Kind of the reverse of a counselor, right? Instead of them laying on my couch, I was laying on a couch. But people just open up,
Mm.
when you're experiencing worse than them, people feel comfortable being vulnerable. And that led me into life coaching, uh, which I loved and really focusing on helping people connect with themselves. So that's, part of how I kind of started feeling alive again and feeling purposeful again was giving back that way. And then what I started to notice was a pattern of my clients once they were getting what I call soul set. Right, we know what mindset is and applying mindset, but sometimes we don't always get soul set and listen to what is true for us, what is the right path for us. And when you apply soul set with mindset, that's when you're unleashed, right, on the road to success. But a lot of people will apply mindset and wonder why they're getting burnout.
Mm.
And it's because they haven't checked in with their inner guidance. They haven't checked in with themselves to say, hey, is this right for me? And as
Right.
my clients were doing that, they said, my life doesn't reflect me
Mm.
anymore. I had one client who said, like, my clothes are not me. And I just realized I've been dressing for my mom my whole life. But when she
Wow.
had tapped into her own story, started writing her own story, she realized, oh my goodness, I've been a sidekick or a side character in my mom's story. I've been trying to fill a role in my husband's story, in my kid's story. But
Right.
when she started writing her own, she realized that it didn't fit. And we ended up doing a styling thing. And that's where the styling piece came in. So I got certified as a personal stylist
Oh,
to
okay.
combine fashion with personal
Exciting.
development, which seems like oil and water, but it really has been a powerful modality to do what I call inside out
Mm.
transformations, helping people get aligned internally and then bringing that to their life externally through style and through personal branding. So it's really fun.
That is amazing. And I resonate with a lot of what you've said. And let me see if I can recall at least a couple of key points. I definitely resonate with the being a part, a an actor in your mom's
Mhm.
movie, because for many years, for most of my life, I was the same way. Not so much in regard to the way my attire, the way I dressed, but more so in uh, being a yes man to everything that she said and thinking like her instead of thinking for myself, allowing her to. And this is not a critical because I decided to do this. She didn't make me do it, but I mean, she didn't deter me from doing it, but she
Right.
didn't make me do it. So no, this is not in any ways a bashing of my mother, but I was just really a people pleaser in her as far as she went and as far as she goes, and just taking on her mindset instead of developing my own. And so yes, and the stylist, I can really relate to that because I used to watch this show. So you help people. Let me clarify this before I say this. So you help people find the right clothing that accents them and everything,
Yes.
haircuts, all that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I help them find I call it their signature soul style that matches their personality.
Yes.
They dress from the inside out. And
Right.
one of the modalities that I use to do that is it's called archetypal coaching.
Okay.
But if you've ever taken a personality quiz, and everybody doesn't, right? Like your Game of Thrones character, your Harry Potter character, your Disney princess, right? It's like
Right.
when you're
Right.
bored and on Facebook, we all have come by them. But those are all different archetypes.
Mm,
Um, and what I knew from studying English for 6 years in college, I had been trained to analyze archetypes. And
mm.
then when I was on my couch in my living room and going into spirituality, I found the work of Carolyn Meese. She has a book called Sacred Contracts where she talks about our personality archetypes and
Okay.
the different aspects of our personality. And as I started doing coaching, when I became certified as a personal stylist, I learned the first key. Here's a fashion tip for everyone. The first thing that stylists are taught to do is to create an archetype for their client. And I was like, oh, I know what archetypes are. But they said you create an archetype and then dress them. But
Oh,
to me,
okay.
that felt like a costume party, right?
Mm,
And when people hire stylists, they're usually like, oh, tell me what to wear, right? So they create something for their client. And I said, oh, we don't need to create an archetype. We need to tap in to our
mm.
archetypes. And so when you find your leadership archetype, when you find your communication archetype, and all those are different styles. You've got a parenting style, a leadership
Right.
style, a communication style that make up who you are.
Right.
And when you use clothes to reflect that,
Right.
right? You might have a softer communication style, but want to stand out, and you might not stand out with your voice, right? And some people feel uncomfortable doing that, and there are skills that can be taught, but you can stand out in your clothes. You can stand out in your presence. You can stand out in a watch. There are some watches that say a lot without saying a word. Yes, yep, yep. How did I know? How did I know? My TEDx talk is all about a power bra. It's not about the things people see. And when I've talked about that with different people, I've had so many men say, I need to go get a pair of power boxers. And I'm like, yes, do it, because there are ways that we can express ourselves that
Right.
are authentic and that empower us to find our voice
Right.
without having to shout or yell or be something that we're not. And
Yes.
so, yeah, clothing is actually a really powerful connector for our identity.
Absolutely. I would say that I would totally agree that what we wear it speaks volumes before we even open our mouth. And especially in this culture here. In this Western culture, we definitely look at the clothing, uh, when you're aware, I think when you're, the more aware you are, it just, I think it's just natural. I don't know the way we were, uh, raised or whatever to look at that. I don't know. We get all kinds of commercials on TV about clothing,
Yep.
about styles, about brands, and if you're a businessman, you wear a sports jacket, you wear a suit, you do this, that, this.
We
These
learn
cut.
social survival,
Yeah, this cut of
right?
jeans, this slacks, and so yes, it
And you don't
does.
want your lizard brain to dress you. You don't want
Right,
your lizard brain making your conscious decisions in life.
right,
It doesn't serve you,
right,
right?
right.
But yeah, and that's where I say I help people tap into their fashion rebel and their rule breaker,
Mm,
right? Because it's not about following trends. In fact, if anything, I encourage the opposite, right? To
right.
set your own rather than following other people's, right? Create your own story.
Yes.
But
Be
in
unique.
doing that, I mean, look at Alex Hermosi,
Right,
right? I actually heard a podcast where Layla Hermosi, his wife, was talking about him, and she said, he didn't intentionally create this visual brand of, the shirt and the tank top and everything, but she said now it could be a Halloween costume. Like people can dress up as Alex Hermosi,
right.
right? But
And that's his
that
style.
became the reason it became powerful is people wanted what he had,
Mm.
but it became a style because it's who he is.
Yes, it's they connected
And
that style
you can
with,
wear it,
yeah,
but you can't copy it. You got to do you.
you got to do you. That's amazing. And what I was going to say before I asked you more in depthly about being a stylist is that I used to watch this show early in the early 2000s and in the teens called What Not to Wear with Stacy and Clinton.
Oh
I
yes,
still remember
I
their
was
names
raised on that.
because
Mhm.
my son is named Clinton after Clinton. Yeah, I have a son named
Oh,
Clinton.
I love that. I love
Yep.
that so much.
Yeah. Because I like that name. Some people it's like Clinton. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, if Clinton Kelly and Gabby Bernstein like had a baby and don't get stuck on that mental image, it's like that's
Right.
what I do.
Yes. Yes. So yes, I used to watch that show a lot. What Not to Wear, and I just loved how they really got in depth into helping people through clothing come out of their shell and be more confident through clothing and style and maybe a change of hairstyle, especially
Mhm.
for the women there. I just loved watching it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's powerful. It's
Yes, yes.
powerful.
So are you known as your real life fairy grandmother? And if
Fairy
so,
godmother.
fairy, oh, that's right. Your real life fairy godmother. I said grandmother. Wow.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
I'll
yet.
own it when it comes, but not yet.
Okay, okay. No, I'm there already. I'm there already. Yes.
Age-wise, I could be, but I had children a little later, so.
Yes, yes. So your real life fairy godmother. Give us a little intel on how that came up and
Well, one, the archetypes, right?
okay.
Archetypes are all about story, owning your story, writing your story, being your story. And a lot of women dream of being a princess, and that was never me. But I've always been the cheerleader. I've always been big about helping people realize their full potential, know who they are. And that's what a fairy godmother does.
Mm,
But she doesn't do
okay.
windows and she doesn't do diapers. Like a lot of people, when they talk about wanting a fairy godmother, they're like, I just want someone to come in and rescue me. But if you
Right.
look at the story, that's not what she does. She shows up once in the whole story. Like she doesn't show up to babysit the kids later. She doesn't come early, and she only comes when Cinderella has tried everything, done everything, right? But Cinderella gets burnt out.
Mm,
And in the beginning of the story, Cinderella isn't burnt. She doesn't even know anything's wrong until she gets a vision of a dream.
okay.
And it's not even about the prince in most of the stories. She wants to go to a ball. She wants to have fun. She wants to be like, she just wants to experience normal life. And that's when she realizes, wait a second, there is something messed up about living my life to serve people who don't appreciate me, who don't treat me well, right? All the different things. But she tries everything and she finds that she's stuck. She doesn't have any other way out. That's when the fairy godmother shows up. And
Mm,
she takes what Cinderella already has available,
right.
a pumpkin, a mouse. Like it's not anything huge. And she just creates a transformation to help Cinderella catch a vision of her potential,
Mm,
right?
okay.
Cinderella discovers, wait a second, I'm a princess.
Mm,
I'm
right.
a queen, right? And she comes and people see something different in her, right? That's when the prince shows up. He's only there once too. The prince doesn't rescue her either. By the way, he's not even there when she is rescued.
Right.
But she gets this vision, and then that fairy godmother leaves her exactly where she was, right? At midnight. Pumpkin turns back to a pumpkin, mouse turns back into a mouse, but
Right.
Cinderella cannot go back. Once you see something, once you catch it. Sorry, I'm getting a little fired up here. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little passionate about what I do.
Yes. Please bring that
But
passion.
once
I
you
love
get
it.
a vision of who you are, not of what someone else told you you're supposed to be,
Mm,
not the wicked stepsisters in your home, not the wicked stepsisters in your school, not the wicked stepsisters in your mindset. But when you catch a vision of who you are and what your potential is, nothing could stop Cinderella. Nothing. And that's when she gets the motivation to figure a way out. She gets the key in some, in the Disney version, whatever, like there's a bunch of different versions. But Cinderella saves herself and creates her own destiny. But
mm,
she does that because she has this moment of transformation where she's able to know who she is. And she's still in rags. What it doesn't matter. She knows she's a queen. She knows she's a princess. She knows she has a destiny, and nothing can stop her. That when you get soul set and apply mindset, that that's what I do as a real life
yes.
fairy godmother. I help people get to know their archetypes, and once you know your characters, you're like, oh, that's why I show up that way. That's why I'm drawn to these kind of people. That's why I excel in certain situations. Oh, these might be some areas that I can work on. But when we see the characters that make up our story, it gives us the power to write our own story. And
Right.
then like to me, the fashion is just the icing on a cake. But when they have that full transformation, they come
Mm,
out of that ready to slay life.
wow.
Fairy godmother
Thank
wand
you.
drop right
Yes.
there. That's
Yes.
what I
You did it. Yes.
do.
Thank you for that analogy. It's beautiful and helping to clarify your real life fairy godmother. Wow, that's amazing.
And
Amazing.
Cinderfellas need them too. So
Yes.
I'm here for
Yes.
everyone. Everyone has a destiny and a story. So
Right. Exactly. Give us a bit of insight on you being a TEDx speaker. What led up to that and what's going on with that now? Like, what does that entail?
Uh, well, it's live on YouTube. You can go look it up, and go watch it. But it stemmed from being on the couch in my living room with my physical health getting to a negative point where I got really aware and passionate about, especially the way women treat themselves, talk about their bodies, and beat themselves up. It got to the point where I was told by a doctor that I was losing weight so fast. If I lost, he said, I will give you 1 week. If you lose another pound, you're going to be put on a feeding tube because this rate of weight loss could be lethal just with all the symptoms that were going on. And
Wow.
I didn't know if I was going to live or die. I had 3 young kids. My divorce was on the verge of being finalized. And I was scared, literally scared to death, and
Mm,
went to a function. I didn't get out of my house much. So getting out, I was super excited. And the women were gathered in a circle. It was a barbecue. And I couldn't stand in the circle. So I was just observing this conversation. And the entire conversation was, oh, I really shouldn't eat this. And oh, yeah, I'm getting so fat. And oh, yeah, this and that. I mean, like the entire conversation the whole time was about their bodies. And I'm sitting here just listening to this on the verge of a feeding tube and like realizing what a gift it is to be able to stand, what
mm,
a gift it is to be alive. Like our bodies are miracles. Our bodies are gifts. And
exactly.
just listening to that, the more I started to hear how people would talk about themselves and treat themselves, and it just became a passion that I wanted to talk about. And so my TEDx talk was about how I reclaimed my life through fashion. And it was
Mm,
fashion that nobody, it wasn't for anyone else. It wasn't about being the people pleaser or,
right.
putting everyone else first, the kids and the spouse and everything, which there is something to be said for service, but you
Right.
can serve without self-sacrifice and completely losing yourself.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, and it was all
Wow.
about the things that people can't see. And I said, for the first time in my life, I was divorced. I'm like, I was buying a bra that had nothing to do with my husband. I wasn't about to share it with my kids. Like it was the first time really since I had gotten married
Right.
that I bought a piece of clothing that was just for me. No
Mm,
one else to judge, no one else to do anything with. And I
right.
was able to be whatever I wanted to be. I could
Yes.
be flirty, I could be fun. And after living in scrubs and being a, walking guinea pig, I was ready to live.
Yes, I would imagine so.
I was ready to
Yes.
live. And that was a message that I wanted to share. And I was accepted to speak on the TEDx Woodinville stage. It was an absolute
Wow.
blessing and miraculous experience.
You weren't
Just
nervous?
no, I've been a speaker for like the stage is I light up. I get
Okay.
excited. It
That's
lights
your
me up.
home, the
I
stage.
love speaking and teaching and oh yeah, no, it was it's a big stage and it was fun. It was fun for me.
Wow.
And I think it was fun for everyone. You practice and you build
Right.
community and
Right.
things. And so yeah, but I family. They really are my TEDx family. The fellow speakers, people who came in the audience,
Wow.
still follow them on LinkedIn and Facebook. It was, one of those core memories in my
Wow.
in
How
my life.
fantastic. I can imagine the energy that you received from being up there. The energy not only that you gave out, but that you
Yeah.
got, that you
It's like a
received.
boomerang. It's a
Amazing.
boomerang. Energy comes
Yes,
back, love comes back, light comes
exactly.
back.
Reciprocated. Yes, yes, yes. Mirror. We
Yep.
are, yes,
That's why I
exactly.
love what you do. I
Yeah.
love
Yes,
every night, and
exactly.
we
And
need
I
it.
love this. As
Yeah.
you could probably tell, I love interacting with people for one. I love listening to um, different people's perspectives and especially if it's around building up themselves and other people in some capacity. It's just amazing. I love hearing it. It makes me smile. That's why when you're talking, I'm smiling. I'm listening
Yeah.
because I can really hear not only the audible sound coming out of your mouth, but I say I feel the vibration
Yeah.
as well. I can feel that it's coming. What you're talking about is not just reading off some script. Yeah, I studied this, I studied that, and now I'm at the
I
top of my
could.
class. No, you're
Right. But that's
passionate.
how we lift each other.
Right.
I think a lot of times people are scared to share their light because they're not sure what other people think or what they do.
Right.
But this is, I've worked with everyone from like youth to adults, and especially with youth.
Mm,
No one else in this world has been born with your exact soul DNA.
right.
No one has
Right.
been born with your exact physical DNA. And I will tell
Mhm.
you, one of the coolest things in doing both together is every single client I have worked with, without exception, their body is custom tailored for their life purpose and for their spirit. Like every single one, when you get to know their archetypes, like their body was designed to allow them to be the fullest version of themselves,
That's powerful. Here,
right? So
that is
like
powerful. Never
no
thought
one
of it
has
that way.
born with your physical DNA, with your skin coloring, eye coloring, hair coloring, and it
Right.
matches your personality.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
colors that look good on you, your color season match your personality.
Okay.
Right. And so there is a way that you see and interact in the world. There is a style that you bring to the world. So if you aren't doing you, there is something I am missing. And we rise together. What is in one is in the whole. And if somebody is holding themselves back, there is I'm on the other side of the world. I'm on the other side of the country. I'm like destroying my house right now, whatever. But like, there are people on the other side of the world who are blessing my life
Mm,
and touching my life. Like we all
Absolutely.
affect each other. So doing
Absolutely.
you is the most powerful way to change the world, literally.
Absolutely. No
Anyway,
one can do
I'll stop
you
preaching.
like you. And I just recently, let me look it up really quick while we're here because what you're saying just, and I can send this to you too.
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you don't know what it is.
But
But
I
you know what? You
feel
don't
it.
have to know because you already know that
Yes.
it wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I know.
anything
I feel it.
other than something uplifting. But let me try to find it. I just shared it as well. Let me find it. It's in here. It's in here. Where is it? Okay. Uh, right here. Oh yeah. I am the, you know how people use the term GOAT, greatest of all time? I
Yeah.
am the GOAT at being myself. Yeah. So that's
Oh,
what
I
that.
love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep. At being myself. Yeah. So yeah, and you just affirm that in many ways that, and I'm speaking to people out there, including myself, because I like talking to myself and reaffirming things to myself, and that it's only one you, and you're meant to be you, not anyone else. Not saying we can't get any inspiration from other people,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Get a mood board, get an
yeah,
inspiration board, right?
absolutely,
And then you bring it to life for you.
absolutely. So thank you very much, Kimberly. While we're here, can you share with us a link or two on how we can find you?
Yes, my website is emergencelifecoaching.com and my services are there. I've got a blog and then my TEDx talk. I I don't have all the YouTube letters memorized on that, but the title of the talk is The Transformative Power of a Power Bra. And so if you want to look that up, it's a 5-minute talk. Our TEDx organizer wanted all of our talks to be 9 minutes or less, and mine rang in at 5 minutes. So
Now,
it's a short and powerful talk.
you sent me a few links that I'm going to
It's in there.
incorporate in the description when this is put together and uploaded. Is that
Mhm.
talk link in there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
It's in there
So,
and it's on my website on my speaker page. So
absolutely.
either
So,
way, but yeah. And one of my fellow speakers, it's not on his video when he got up. But when he got on stage, I didn't know he was going to do this, but he said, I've got to give a shout out to Kim and let her know I am wearing my power boxers today. So just so you know, like apply it, get a pair of socks, get a watch, whatever your power piece is, it's about
wow.
doing you.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much again, Kimberly, for enlightening us and embarking us with your amazing perspectives, your uh, testimonies, your experiences, your education. Just thank you. And I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you, and I can't wait to listen to this and watch this in third person when it's finished. I love doing that, pretending like I'm a fan at the movies and just try to get out of my head that that's me over there and just really, really hone in on my guests, and just really listen.
Oh, you do
Yes.
a great job of that. And you didn't ask for this, just so you know, he did not ask for this, but here's a plug. I started binge watching before I was on the podcast and
Oh, you did?
oh
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah, you have some fantastic guests. So there's go binge watch. Go binge watch after this because there are
thank you.
so many amazing guests with powerful stories
Thank you.
and yeah, it's just inspiring.
I appreciate that. So, yes, thank you everyone for watching and or listening. Be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the follow button, wherever you're watching, and also go into the description, read about Kimberly Parry, and click those links. If especially if you resonate with what she does, you're getting burnt out, you know, help her rekindle that. I was going to say rekindle that fire, but no, we don't want to use the word fire because that you being burnt out. So allow her to quench that burnout.
Your
And
eternal fire. We'll light that
yes,
eternal
yes,
flame. It won't burn you out. You'll just go light the
absolutely.
world.
Absolutely. Yeah, I gotta rewrite that script because that didn't go over too well. But yes, thank you, everyone. And I appreciate you. Enlightened, empowered, evolved. See you soon. Love and appreciation to everyone.